Morning, everybody up there. Sheriff, how are we?
Good morning, supervisors.
Good
audience,
deal.
Staff.
And do we have YouTube and all that up and running? Okay. Do we need to do a sound check for Payson? Is that what we're doing? What?
There it is, they hit it on you.
I camouflaged it even.
Hey, Lisa, we're gonna call you back real quick, okay?
Huh?
Okay. You can't hear me?
You got her?
Never mind, we're good.
Okay.
Still good? Okay, so good morning, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order about 10:01, Tuesday, December 6th. James Bruzy is going to lead us in the pledge, and Marin, I think you're doing the invocation? Okay, thanks.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the opportunity to serve you as we serve the people of Gila County. We thank you for the bounty of resources you have bestowed on us and seek your guidance in their stewardship. We thank you for the unique talents of each person you call to serve here, especially those whose upcoming retirements make us reflect on their examples of wisdom, humility, fortitude, and adaptability. As we go forth in the work of serving your people, grant that the fruits of our labors show others that you are the source of all we do, and lead those who are apart from you back to your merciful grace. Please be with our first responders and all servicemen and women around the world who put themselves in harm's way for the greater good. Watch over our young people, especially college and university students preparing for finals, who may be struggling to hear your voice amid society's noise. Please be especially with those welcoming new life and those laying souls to rest. May your nearness be a balm to their hearts. May all of us gathered here today grow in humility, service, and love. Guide us as we set priorities and make decisions. Unite us in serving you and each other. We ask all this in the name of your only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Marin. Okay, we're going to start with 2A presentations. Public recognition of 5 employees through the county's Spotlight on Employees program as follows: Reyes Barjaras, Danny Quesada, Dave Rogers, Joseph Pacheco, and Cassandra Navarro. Erica, good morning.
Good morning.
Hopefully I got that right.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Again, thank you so much for letting us be here today. As mentioned, we do have 5 employees that we are nominating. They're actually both group nominations, so we'll read them one at a time. But starting off, we have our facilities nomination for Reyes Barajas and Danny Quesada. Their spotlight nomination read, so Reyes and Danny have been extremely helpful with my complicated delivery. They called me immediately after I sent them an email to ensure I had their phone numbers. They assured me that they were aware of the delivery and how to handle it. Danny called me after the delivery was made to let me know it had arrived successfully and it was secure. When I wrote the work order, I had anticipated 3 pallets and it ended up only being 1. Danny called me before closing out the work order to verify all of the pallets had arrived. They were extremely helpful, knowledgeable, and showed amazing customer service. And this was submitted by Stella Gore. Reyes has been with Gila County for close to 9 years. Reyes? And Danny is also with facilities and has been with us a little over a year. Danny? Next, we have a group nomination for our IT staff for Dave Rogers, Joseph Pacheco, Cassandra Navarro. Their spotlight nomination reads, the IT team has directly supported facilities in establishing technology infrastructure upgrades that enabled the facilities department to create 5 critical platforms. IT's direct contribution created a project pipeline, digitized timesheets, maintenance, asset software, event planner, and established communication platforms. Facilities was able to streamline and remove multiple processes, ultimately enabling facilities to modernize overnight. The IT team has gone above and beyond, exemplifying a one-team concept. So Dave has been employed with the county for almost 27 and a half years. Dave?
Thank you, supervisors, very much. It's always helpful. The IT department's always wanting to help out any departments however we can. So with us being able to help the facilities with the items that they needed, we were glad to do that. Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Did you start as a youth program or you just applied? And the reason I'm asking is because a lot of our long-term employees had, and so that was just a question I had.
Yes, I started as a summer student
Yes.
here in the elections department with Dixie Monday. And basically came back summers after high school, winter breaks when I was in college, and was officially hired July of 1995.
Well, thank you very much, and that just boosts the summer program that we push so hard.
Exactly.
Because look at what it does for our constituents and for the county, so
Exactly.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Joseph Pacheco, who's been with the county a little over 2 years. Joseph? And next, we have Cassandra Navarro, who's been with the county a little over 5 months. Cassandra? And that does conclude our spotlight nomination for this month.
Thank you, Erica. Supervisor Humphrey, you have anything more you want to add?
No, just thank you all very much for what you do in the customer service that you present in helping us do the things that we need to do, so thank you.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you. Thank you, Erica, for doing this. I think the Spotlight program is really great because what it does is it helps showcase people that are not always out in the open. They're more in the shadows of what we do and vital all the way along. Our facilities, our IT, and this is all running smoothly. We just assume it's going to get done, and it gets done. We really appreciate everyone, and especially those who are doing a cut just above what is required, or maybe more than just a cut. Thank you.
Erica, thank you for doing this, but also the facilities guys. You guys have been awesome. All the projects you've been involved with, you've done an outstanding job on it. And for you too, you guys have done a really good job from the IT standpoint, and we're really glad you're here. And I don't know how many people understand how much Dave Rogers knows. I mean, it amazed me. You know, when we started into the election process, and pretty much Dave gave us the 101 version and up from there on the process and everything. And it's just, you're an outstanding guy, Dave. We're glad to have you. So thank you all so much for what you do.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, moving on to 3A, public hearings, information, discussion, action to adopt ordinance number 2022-08, which authorizes the amendment of the Gila County zoning map for unincorporated areas of Gila County by changing the zoning for assessor's parcel number 301-18-007, located at 6599 West Ute Trail, Pine, Arizona, currently designated as Commercial 2 District, C2, to Residential District Limited Density 12, R1L-D12, subject to adherence to 3 conditions of approval as outlined in the ordinance. Good morning, Randy.
Morning, Commissioner and Chair, or Supervisors, sorry. This is a pretty straightforward project. This is a parcel up in Pine that was C2 and had residential house on it. And that's basically legal non-conforming. C2 doesn't allow residential because it's commercial use, so those two don't normally mix. Ms. Coolidge had looked prior to rezoning, but beginning of this year, her house caught on fire. And normally, we would allow that to go back if they get a year to get some plans into us, or we'll work with them as much as we can just to get that in and allow the legal nonconformity to continue. She has decided just to rezone to what's next to her, which is R1L D12, which will allow her to do whatever she wants, whenever she wants on her residential use. She's still, I believe, arguing with the insurance companies and engineers and everyone else that gets involved when a house catches fire. So the commissioners on the P&Z Commission unanimously approved her rezoning with the 3 conditions, and haven't had any comment from neighbors complaining about it at all. And the 3 conditions: the owner must comply with R1L D12 requirements. The owner must obtain a building permit, and the owner must abide by all other state, federal, and local regulations as applicable. With that, I'd answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Randy. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions.
Supervisor Christensen?
No, I don't think I have any questions. Thanks, Randy.
I don't think I do as well, so with that, I'd open it up to the public. And Lisa, do we have any public in Payson?
No, sir.
Thank you. And do we have any on YouTube, Joseph? No, we're good. And do we have any here? I don't believe we do. So with that, I'll close the public hearing part of it and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt ordinance number 2022-08.
And Mr. Chairman, I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
3B, information discussion action to adopt resolution number 22-12-04 to name a new road in the Tunnel Basin area as East Honeydew Drive. Tom, good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Tonto Basin is growing, and recent lot splits necessitated we name a road because ADOT doesn't want everybody coming directly off the highway. It just makes it, it's 55 miles an hour through there, and you're coming off a residential. So this road alignment was made available on the record of survey, and so we're going to name it so we can address that way and have a limited access to the highway. I'll answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Tom. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Christensen?
No questions, thank you.
I guess we're good, Tom. So with that, I'd open it up for a public hearing. And Lisa, do we have anyone in Payson?
No, sir.
Anyone on YouTube? And is there anyone here? I do not see anyone here, so I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Yes, sir, I'll move to adopt resolution number 22-12-04.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now we're on to regular agenda items number 4A. Information discussion action to approve Exhibit A, modification number 001 to the Economic Development Grant Agreement, or Development Agreement 2019-1203 _434/5778 between Gila County and Discover Gila County, Inc., which increases the funding from $150,000 to $178,000, $178,036 for 22, and invokes the 30-day cancellation clause of the existing agreement, and approve a new economic development agreement between Gila County and Discover Gila County, Inc. for a period of 4 years beginning January 1st of 2023 in the amount of $180,000 with a 3% year increase for inflation for the marketing and tourism initiative that the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. And we have Mac Fizor and James Spruzzi, it looks like. Good morning, gentlemen. And Jackie. Okay, we're good.
And with the agenda item up, that's pretty much a full explanation of what we're doing. We want to extend and continue a program which has been wildly successful and exceeded all of our expectations, and we would like to continue. Do you have any questions of us as to the way we're running or things that you'd like to see?
Well, let's see, Mac. Supervisor Humphrey, questions or comments?
I have questions, but Mr. Menlove just left the room. And he might be able to be part of that. I support, everything that's been going on with Discover Gila County. I don't mind the, 150 going to 178 or 80. The only question that I bring up, and it's like the 3% per year over the next 4 years, is like, to me, that's a financial question with the county manager, because, I mean, we can't guarantee our employees are gonna get a 3% increase over the next 4 years. So here we're going to give you a 3%, and so I'm just wondering where all that fits. I mean, I don't mind, like I say, the 180 from the 150, 30,000, okay, I understand, because you guys have been working hard. You're going into, try to do television and stuff, but we were told you're doing that in that budget. So increasing your budget a little bit, I don't mind. The only thing that I have a question about is the 3% increase for inflation for marketing and tourism, over the next 4 years. That's a question that I have of perhaps staff. I don't expect you to answer the question because you're asking for it. It's just a question for staff. Where do we sit with that?
So what we can do is we can hold that question for Mr. Menlove to
That's
get
fine.
back, and we can ask him
Okay.
of it. How's that?
Okay. Well, yeah, unless, I think he would, as a manager, I think he would be the one that we could
Yeah,
throw it at him.
he'll be back, and
See.
if not, we'll get somebody to answer it.
Okay.
Is that it?
That's it. That's all I
Supervisor
have.
Christensen?
Yeah, my math shows that's about $5,400 increase annually, at least the first year. And it starts building equity quickly. So anyway.
It does.
The Discover Gila County, though, is a fabulous thing that we're doing. So I think it's well within the idea that we need to help you with your budget. And so I really have no questions.
That's it? Okay, thanks. So,
Just in
we'll
time.
let James get back in here, and we'll go back to Supervisor Humphrey's question, and then I'll start mine. How's that?
Okay.
Oh, you bet, James. We have a question for you. Supervisor Humphrey, if you want to present your question again?
Yeah, Mr. Menlove, the question that I presented is, I don't mind the first increase of the 150 to the 180, but the 3% year increase over the next 4 years is what I had a question of. That's a financial deal, and like I said, we can't guarantee that the employees of Gila County are going to get an increase at all over the next 4 years, but we're going to guarantee Discover Gila County a 3% increase over the next 4 years, which is going to be a sizable amount. And so, I don't know where we set with that. If that wouldn't be maybe a better year decision each year, rather than just throw it out there for the next 4 to see where the world's at in a year or two. That was my question. So I guess I would like your input on the question.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, this was put in there as just a way of simplifying it, making it easy for them, because inflation's here and not any, as far as we're concerned, not anything that's going to change over the next few years. However, that is entirely a decision of the board. If you'd rather have this be an annual, that we bring it back to the board and have that decision Whether there needs to be any inflation factor considered, that is something we certainly can leave out of this contract and have an annual decision of the board, like we do for salaries, like you're saying, that's an annual decision of the board. So it really is whatever your preference would be.
Thank you. Thank you, James.
Sure.
Does that satisfy your question?
It satisfies my question, yes, and it would probably make a difference on my motion going forward.
Okay. So I've had several conversations. Discover Gila County is an awesome deal. Cameron and them, razor thin marketing, his company has done a really, really fabulous job of this. And we have no real accurate way of determining the impact to our county, but we know there is one. And so I fully support all of this as well. The one thing that I can't help but continually go back and think about is ways of bringing in additional money as this goes along. And those discussions have been had, and I've hashed it out and around several times with Jackie and whatnot. But I think we're coming to a point in time. Who knows how big this is going to get? Discover Gila County is going to get. But somewhere along the way, with what we're doing, it would be nice if we had other partners get on board with this project as well to help drive it on. And so from an IDA standpoint, Mac, like from your standpoint, do you think there'll be options in the future for that, or where do you think we would be?
We've actually discussed that at the Discover Gila County Board, that there was a vendor that could automate the changes on the website where companies could buy a sponsorship of a particular video or event. We don't want to cover because this is promoting tourism everywhere, we don't want to put up ads that smother what people come here to see. We want them to come and get lost in Gila County. But you can do sponsorships. We talked about that in September of 2019, and that's right just before COVID hit. So we said, well, businesses are struggling. We're not going to try and push that, but we do still have the information. We've installed a jobs board, which also was in response to needs of the businesses. And to this point, we have 760 businesses registered on the jobs board. Over 1,700 jobs posted and jobs viewed about 48,000 times, and a little over 1,100 direct replies to open job requests. We've just established a real estate channel, which is a sponsorship between northern and southern Gila counties. It's the CAAR, and I don't know what they call the Realty Association down here. It's not a board, but it's an affiliation. And they all gotten together on this, and we were getting people that were coming to see the tourism and say, hey, we like this. How would we move here? And they go into they don't have to leave the website to find this is where I go for a realtor. When they click on that information, it takes them to the northern or southern web pages for those realty associations. They can find a realtor, they can look at the listings. They're paying about $5,000 a year for the privilege of having that on our website, plus they're donating the use of the IDX, which is the web search capability against our multiple listing service, which is not an inconsiderable amount of money. So that's happening. So far, we've had about 1,400 page views, and it is slightly higher for the northern part, but we're working a little better on that. We're discussing some new business ideas, and since we're getting so many, what we're trying to market now is we're finding cowboys are wildly popular. Who knew? I mean, we've grown up around it, but people who come from other areas really seem to enjoy that. So we have started talking with some ranchers about the idea of doing a city slickers kind of thing where you have, I mean, we have history on the website, which is popular. We have the thing on the Cowboys, which is popular. And the tourism said, how about putting those together and starting some businesses? That they will take some people out along the trail, have a campfire, have a cookout, have a camp under the stars. And we have some people that are entertaining the idea. And of course, as we package that, we would like to advertise and monetize that. The other thing we wanted to point out is that we've actually been supported by several businesses, a number of businesses all along, in the marketing development, in that they've given us giveaways that we've used to start driving the traffic and the likes, going to the website and building that. I can give you a list if you. Okay. Of those that have done, but we are making a point of everything that we do is whole county. We're trying it's very hard not to do something that is this area or that area, but all areas of the county. Cameron pointed out in his last appearance here that he was shooting something in Young and stopped in at a restaurant, and they said, if only we could get some more traffic. And so they took some pictures, they put it on, and she called up in a week and says, what did you do? Because it's driving traffic. That has value.
Yeah.
And how we monetize that is what will be a subject for discussion with this vendor that will monetize on the website. But we don't want to do anything that's going to kill the growth of that. It's how do we tag these things on without killing it, and it's a serious subject, and one that is under consideration by the board. So we're anticipating that.
Okay. Okay, Jackie?
Thank you. Mac, if I could take just a minute, could you guys, would IT pull up the the new economic development agreement? So one of the things that Mac was talking about was the jobs board. We have not yet charged any of those, how many vendors that signed up? We haven't monetized the job board. We've made it free with the understanding that we could charge by, we could develop a way that businesses could pay to advertise and advocate for jobs. 760 businesses are registered. We wanted to get as many as possible. We wanted to have some real impact, and then one of the future conversations is, do we begin to charge for that, and when do we begin to charge for that? Given that first we had COVID, then we had supply chain issues. If you'll page down to the stop, thank you. So in the new four-year agreement, and it had similar language in the last four-year agreement, that we're asking to invoke the 30-day clause and start a new one. It says, subject to the terms and conditions of this agreement, the county will provide the sum of $180,000 for 2023 with a 3% increase. The amount of funding annually will be as mutually agreed in advance by the parties, with the understanding that the amount may decrease or be eliminated. I'm not sure that's going to happen in the near term, as other funding opportunities become available. So the idea of putting in an increase had to do with, here we are 3 years into our existing agreement, and we're coming back to ask for a cancellation clause because it didn't keep up with the cost of doing the business. So we were trying to build in a way for this next 4 year so that it would keep up with the cost of doing business, and also have a clause that talks about the amount of funding to be mutually agreed in advance. So it kind of does what I believe Supervisor Humphrey was asking, while also being a 4-year commitment so that DGC has some guaranteed funding to move forward, with the idea that DGC is also looking at other funding opportunities. Does that help answer the question as well?
I guess I'll ask a question before Supervisor Humphrey. So on that, the only thing I would say going back on that is the 3% increase for inflation annually doesn't say anywhere where it'll be approved by the in front of us. I'm just asking.
So It can. With a 4-year agreement, the thinking was that it would be that when we come and do our annual presentation, which is outlined in another clause, that at that time, if in our financial reporting to the county that we had funding that would take a place of some of this, that DGC and county management and finance would come up with a smaller dollar amount. This is just to give the higher, for budgetary purposes, to be able to budget a full amount for inflation, so that we didn't have to come back in 2 years and go, well, we can't afford to do what we're doing.
Supervisor Humphrey?
Yeah, I hate to be difficult because I do support this so much, because it's a great thing. It's just, yeah, that's saying that you may not use it, but you want us to guarantee it. Then it's guaranteed whether you use it or not, and in my past experience, if it's approved, it's probably gonna get used.
And I think that second agreement could be that we all mutually agree that we come annually and ask, do we want the 180? Do we want the 180 would be the 23 amount, 185 would be the 24 amount. We could come annually when we do that annual report and ask for that amount or a lower amount.
Yeah, I would like to see annual agreements, because then we know more of what's going on with the budget and where you're going and how you're going, and, present to us, and then we see, you might need more than that because something has arisen that you feel is beneficial to the program, and 3% doesn't get it. It's just, once something's in writing and set in stone, well, there it is. And I don't want
Yes.
to take away from you. And
There it is. But
there.
if you come annually in a few years, sooner than this 4-year agreement, we could be presenting, we are happy to come annually if that is the board's preference. We would come in the fall.
Supervisor Christensen?
I would have to say that the 3% doesn't bother me as much. For you to come back every year, just ask for another 5,000 or 5,500 is a small number to me. So it's not that, it's not a deal breaker whether we do that or we don't do that. You guys certainly well deserve what you're doing, the budget, the performance, all of it's there. I have no problem personally with the 3% being in there. However, if that is objectionable enough that that we need to have you back every year, I have no objections to that either.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
And I would just, we are back annually as required in another clause to do a report. So we're back annually regardless.
James?
Mr. Chairman, when this was first presented to the Board of Supervisors and there was a vote taken on supporting this or not, there was comments made by the board that this is something that is not, it's got to be long-term. And it can't be something that we're in it for a year or two, but it's got to build and over long-term. And really, this 4-year deal is that commitment to long-term in being able to have assurance in this endeavor and this recreational opportunity that has proven successful. I think in all of our minds it's proven successful that we have that commitment of long-term. And that's why this is written the way it is a commitment to make this functional, make it an ability to operate in the market the way the market is, that inflation is here at 7 to 10%, and not asking for that 7 to 10%, but a 3% moderate inflation. I don't know that there's, even at the lowest times, inflation is in the 2 to 3% range. So it's not an unreasonable ask to identify that amount in a long-term contract to ensure that this is a viable and a feasible endeavor to continue to promote Gila County. That's why it's included And again, the long-term nature of it, that we want this to be a long-term commitment to ensure that we are continuing to attract and continue to have this website be top-notch, and it is first class. You don't find a better one throughout the state, and I don't know about the country, but it's tops in the state. So just wanted to add that, Mr. Chairman.
James, do you want to?
Yes, if I may.
Yeah, absolutely.
James Brucey, Vice President of Discover Gila County. To speak to your question, Supervisor Klein, as far as our income, production, and stuff like that, one of the things I have to say that being on the board, I've been kind of a vocal opponent of advertising on the website, in that it could cheapen the overall vision of what we're doing. But there are other creative ways we have been looking at. One is partnerships through the Arizona Department of Tourism. We have partnered with the Copper Corridor on marketing, and we can continue to do stuff like that in the future, which kind of like builds some money because we'll be matching funds from the state and things like that. And so the more that we can work in partnership with other organizations, that's a great way to kind of bring in money without a direct billing type thing. And then as far as it is hard to measure, it is hard to measure what the benefits of Discover Gila County bring to the county and to the region. And I can speak for my own business. And I kind of, Young, I think, is a great example of a place, because there's not a whole lot going on there. We have our agriculture, we have our tourism, and that's about it. So there having, over the last several years, really been a lot of economic drivers. But during that time, we've seen property values increase. We've seen property cleanups. We've seen new businesses open. And all of those are kind of intangible and not directly, it's really hard to track that data. But in the end, I think that it's one of those, like, where a good tide raises all ships. And I think in a lot of ways, we're seeing that for sure.
I totally agree with you, James. And there's no doubt, in my opinion, here that, this Discover Gila County has been just a blessing for us in Gila County. We talked about it before. People come through our county, but they don't stop. Well, they've stopped now.
Definitely.
And we've seen that. There's no real clear, measurable way of showcasing it, but there's no doubt that is what has happened. And there's no telling how big Discover Gila County will actually become. When I sat here and listened to Cameron on his last presentation with the TV spots and all of that that they're working on and pushing forward on, there's no telling where that's going to end. And so I for one want to support Discover Gila County as much as we possibly can. I'm just reaching out to you guys, and especially the IDA part of it, saying, hey, is there other partners out there that can come on board where, we're still helping support it, whether that's money, whether that's whatever, and we have other folks that'll be on board with us as well to help with that. And I know there's been concerns about that, but hopefully we can work around some of those and move forward.
I think so too. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for partnerships we haven't explored, that we are exploring, that we could explore. And I think there's a lot of value in that for sure.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
James.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I do have a question. We talked about promoting and partnerships and sponsorships and that kind of thing. I've asked the question, not necessarily to the fullest of the DGC board, but how does that work into the website? Because I get concerned that we have, it's such a massive website and can get, well, it's massive. It covers a lot of territory. And we start building sponsorships, ads, and stuff like that, and it gets, to me, can get bogged down. And so as you go into this as a nonprofit that's over this website, what does that look like, and how does that is incorporated into the website of sponsorships? And again, as it was said by you, Mac, that it's a county-wide issue, and if we're sponsoring restaurants and we have restaurants sponsor it, then there's additional, I just don't know how that all works, and would like to have, as this moves forward, if I can request that we have that, a look at that, of how that all works, how it's built in, how it enhances, promotes Discover Gila County, but then, and doesn't detract, but still is a sponsorship financially that we talked about from the very beginning, of being able to take Discover Gila County even further with these sponsorships. So what does that all look like? How does it fit in? And I'm not asking for that answer today unless the board wants to pursue it, but,
I can give you a partial
well,
on that.
Mr. Chairman's got.
Go ahead.
One of the things that you may not realize is there's a whole marketing program, not just the website, but the website itself is on its third iteration, and another one coming up. We've had to move servers because we have so much traffic and so much content that it's no longer adequately served where we started. And so they are planning, Razor Thin Media is planning a complete rebuild of the site. And when we re-architect that, we're going to be looking for the hooks where we can put these things in. But we are to the point that we're having to build it again. And I say we, the Regal we, that's Razor Thin Media is doing that.
But I'm not talking about the technology, I'm talking about the public perception and the public ability to not get lost in things and be able to still accomplish what needs and what the
Yes.
intent is, the primary intent is.
Yes. And that, like I say, we've talked about that several times, and we'll be revisiting that. There is some technology that is available to let us do that. And we'll check to see, the last time we looked at this was in 2019. We need to revisit and make sure that it's still viable.
Well, again, I'm not really worried about the technology, that can take,
Yeah,
that'll
but
be taken care of. It's
No,
the, how does that interact with the public? And is it
we're-
accomplishing what the board intended from the very beginning of attracting people to Gila County?
That's our primary concern. I tell a story when this first came out, had been released to the public. I was at a meeting in Phoenix for the LEPC as a CERT member on emergency preparedness. And at a lunch break, we're at a table, and one of the presenters came and was talking about it, and says, "Oh, you're from Gila County." He said, "I love going through Payson, but what else is there?" And I turned on we had Wi-Fi, I turned on my laptop, turned it around, and said, "Have you seen this?" And so she pulls up her laptop, copies the URL, and starts coasting through it all through lunch. And they had to come and get her out of the audience because she was the next speaker. And she got completely lost following the website. And she goes up with her laptop and she says, "Sorry, but did you guys know about this website?" And so we had a spike of traffic off of that simply because she saw it and liked it. We cannot lose that feel. We cannot lose that feel. In all the other stuff that we do, we can't lose that. That's the magic.
Mr. Chairman, I agree exactly, that's the first priority.
So maybe somewhere in the future, we can have some other discussions, work sessions or whatever to talk about some more.
Up to you as a board, but I would really like that of how we ensure that the primary focus is
Okay.
always the primary focus.
Supervisors, are we good?
We're good. I'm ready to make a motion.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Exhibit A modification number 001 of Economic Development Agreement number 2019-1203/434/5778 with Discover Gila County Incorporated, and approve the new economic development agreement that the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
And I will second that, Mr. Chairman.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good project. On to 4B, information discussion action to approve the Corrections Master Staffing Service Agreement with supplemental health care on an as-needed basis with a not to exceed the amount of $80,000 for a period of November 1st, 2022 through October 31st, 2023, with the option to automatically renew. Sarah, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. This is kind of exactly what it says. This is an agreement with supplemental health care. They would provide basically emergency nursing services to the Gila County Jail if our staffing levels got to critical again. As you guys are aware, we had a contract with Maxim Healthcare to provide nursing care in the jail on an as-needed basis. This would give us the ability to use this contract as well. There were times during the Maxim contract that the amount for the nursing staff is through them were as high as $175 per hour. What we would like is the ability to utilize this contract, which has a much lower rate. With that, I will take any questions.
Thank you, Sarah. Supervisor Humphrey?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you. Good to see you, Sarah.
Good to see you.
Does this provide health care to all of the jails in Gila County?
So it can. Most of the time, what we have done is, as most of you guys know, the former undersheriff was a registered nurse as well. So he would take the load for the Payson facility if needed. With his departure, what we would do is we have Penny Pageant, which is kind of the director of nursing for us in the jail. So she would coordinate with jail staff if we needed to get a registered nurse up here. Her herself is a registered nurse. If she needed to come up, but the majority of the time what we're doing is anybody who is at a level of that need is being shipped to Globe because that's where our hub of medical care is.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. That's helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sarah, I don't believe I have any questions for you. I think I'm good. With that, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the Corrections Master Staffing Service Agreement with the supplemental health care on an as-needed basis with a not to exceed the amount of $80,000 for the period of November 1st, 2022 through October 31st, 2023, with the option of an automatic renewal.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
4C, information, discussion, action to approve amendment number 2 to the grant agreement number RFGA 2020-001-04 with the Arizona Department of Health Services in the amount of $224,030.40 to extend the performance period to September 30th, 2025, which will allow the Gila County Health and Emergency Department to continue providing AZ Health Zone Program, SNAP Ed services. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. So Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So that's the EBT cards, formerly the food stamp dollars. There's a percentage of that goes towards education, which is a good thing. So although people are more than welcome to buy Twinkies or Ho-Hos or Pop or whatever they want with that money, we prefer that we try to give education so that they buy healthy food options. With that, and like I had My Pyramid growing up, now they have My Plate that we teach in the schools to, teach the children to eat their fruits and vegetables. And along with that, the program's kind of grown a lot. We actually, our Employee of the Year is up in Payson this year, Janice Chesser, and she's worked with the farmer market up there. We've increased the WIC vouchers that are taken to the farmer's market. The senior vouchers have almost doubled over the last few years under her that are used at the farmer's market, and the double up dollars that we do up there. So that's another thing we do. We worked on the, if you remember when we were doing the Pinnell Creek Trail project down here, seeing about the viability of that. That was through this Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program funding. So a lot of good things, supports 3 full-time staff, and it's just a really good program.
Thank you, Josh. Supervisor Humphrey?
Josh, thank you for all you do and your interest in Gila County and helping the constituents. It really shows. Thank you.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Josh. I have no questions.
I'm good as well. Thank you. That I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 2 to grant agreement number RFGA 2020-001-04 with the Arizona Department of Health Services in the amount of $224,030.40 to extend the performance period to September 30th, 2025.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Josh. On to 4D, information, discussion, action to approve Appendix A, Addendum 045-JD with Sentinel Technology Incorporated, utilizing the National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance, NCPA, state contract number CTR 059872 in the amount of $74,736.74. How are you? You're not Michael.
I am not Michael. I'm Carrie Bartling. I'm filling in for Michael this morning.
Thank you,
So,
Carrie.
You're welcome. Good morning, Chairman, board members of the board. Today I'm asking for the approval of the new core switches. These core switches process and distribute all data that flows through the county's network. The core switches allow the different buildings within the county to communicate with each other. The IT department has developed a 5-year replacement for these core switches. The current core switches are approximately 8 years old. The county entered into the master service agreement with Sentinel Technologies for assistance with specific projects. The county manager signed the MSA on September 7th, 2021. We added Appendix A, Addendum number 039-JD for the Network Discovery and Document Project. The county manager assigned Appendix A, Addendum number 039-JD on October 6th, 2021, as the project was under $50,000. Appendix A, Addendum number 045-JD is being requested for the core switches upgrade in the amount of $74,736.74. And I can answer any questions y'all have.
Thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
Supervisor Humphrey,
Mr. Chair, I have no questions.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Carrie. We need to maintain our systems, so,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And how long did you say these will be good for?
Sir, we are on a 5-year plan on these, so
Okay.
every 5 years, we're looking at replacements, so.
Okay, thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
That I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Appendix A, Addendum 045-JD with Sentinel Technologies Incorporated, utilizing the National Purchasing Alliance state contract number CTR 059872 in the amount of $74,736.74.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to E, information, discussion, action to award a contract in response to request for qualifications number 072622-solid waste landfill services to the most qualified and responsive Stephen B. Smith for 1 year in the amount of $239,200 with the option of 3 one-year renewals in the amount of $115,000. Melanie, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. This contract is for solid waste services of routine monitoring reporting for both the Russell Gulch and Buckhead Mesa landfills. The first year amount of $239,200 differs from subsequent years due to non-routine projects that are currently underway. The first year amount covers pre-construction preparation, construction oversight, and submission of CQA reports for the Russell Gulch landfill located in Globe. Additionally, the first year amount includes the closure and reporting for the center retention pond at the Buckhead Mesa landfill in Payson. This pond has to be removed. We're going to be using the one that we put in prior. The optional extension of the contract for subsequent years are not to exceed $115,000. This amount includes only routine monitoring and reporting for both landfills. The contract allows for 2 additional years for a total of 3 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Melanie. No questions.
I don't guess I do either, Melanie. So
Okay.
thanks, good job. That I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to award a contract in response to request for qualifications number 072622 solid waste landfill services to Stephen B. Smith in the amount of $239,200 with an option of 3 one-year renewals in the amount of $115,000.
Mr. Chair, I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks. On to F, information discussion action to reject all bids for RFP number 07122022 for on-call road maintenance and heavy equipment services. Morning, Steve.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. You know, the fires and then the subsequent flooding and the damage it caused, we didn't have the time to solicit contracts and get contractors under contract to do the work, so we started just issuing emergency contracts, which worked in time. And then we finance talked Public Works and decided it was probably best to try to get some contractors on call countywide for emergencies that come up or routine maintenance. You know, in the northern part of the county, we had 2 people for a long time, so if we needed help on roads or something. So we put an RFP out for bids, and we received a number of bids. We thought the RFP was very specific in what we wanted, asking just hourly rates of equipment. We received hourly rates, overtime costs, operator costs added in, a lot more than we wanted. We couldn't take those and really make sense. Everyone mixed apples and oranges. Met with the county attorney, went through them and decided the best thing to do is reject all bids, start over. We have a meeting scheduled this coming Thursday with the contractors that bid, so before we start over the second time, if that's the board's pleasure, we'll be able to sit with them, see what we did wrong, what they didn't understand, to make it easier going forward where everybody is submitting on the same thing.
Thank you, Steve. Supervisor Humphrey?
Steve, is this a contract where you were gonna reach out for 5 contractors? Is that
Yeah, Chairman
what we
Klein,
approved?
Supervisor Humphrey, yes, it is.
Okay, yeah, I was kind of against reaching out just for 5 contractors anyway. And so you're gonna meet with those 5 contractors and try to get a neutral ground with those 5 contractors that put contracts in?
We've offered a meeting, Chairman Klein, Supervisor Humphrey, with everyone that submitted. I believe I can go look, but I think there was probably around 8 proposals. So everyone that submitted, we're going to meet with them and see how we can improve our process.
Yeah, I'd just like to not leave anybody out if you're going to sit down at a table and try to come to, you know, where we're at for an hour, where we're at for overtime, where we're at for standby or no standby. I would just like not to leave any contractors out.
Yeah, Mr.
And
Chairman.
make it pretty much fair for.
Supervisor Humphrey,
everyone.
that's exactly what we're doing.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thanks, Steve. I have no questions.
I'm good too, Steve. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I will move to reject all the bids for requests for proposals number 07122022 for on-call road maintenance and heavy equipment services.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. On to G, information discussion action for the public sale of a portion of Quail Drive on the Sportsman's Haven, official map number 311, Gila County Records, Gila County, Arizona, to Richard Wren in the amount of $890. Steve, I hope I got that name right.
Mr. Chairman, me too, because I'm not sure. I've talked to the gentleman, but we've never discussed the last name, how to pronounce it. Quail Drive, Sportsman's Haven, Roosevelt Resort. First road past the boat storage goes towards Pinto Creek. The gentleman submitted an abandonment request. It meets all the requirements of the county. You approved moving forward back in August. He has now provided a formal bid that is the required amount, the minimum required amount. So I'm accepting you, or recommending that you accept his bid for the sale. If you do, I will be back with next meeting or a future meeting with a quitclaim deed and a resolution to issue to the gentleman.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, just to kind of clarify, because the gentleman that had been contacting me, his name was Brian, and maybe Brian's what he goes by and not Richard.
Same person.
And yeah, it's right there where it dead ends at the creek and nobody needs it, and I think Forest Service even wanted to delete that portion because people were using it to get in the creek and tearing down the dam and those kind of things, just to verify that that's all the same deal.
Chairman Klein, Supervisor Humphrey, you are correct, same person. The check says Richard D. Urin.
Okay.
Brian is who I talked to on the phone, same person.
Okay.
And stuff, and the Forest Service did come out and formally support this in writing.
Okay, good, yeah, because I'd been working with him and the name just didn't ring a bell, so I appreciate the clarification.
Supervisor Christensen.
I have no questions.
I'm good,
Thanks.
Steve, as well, so I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to sell of a portion of Quail Drive on Sportsman Haven official map number 311, Gila County Records, Gila County, Arizona, to Richard Urin in the amount of $890.
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thanks,
Thank you.
Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
On to H, information, discussion, and action to approve amendment number 1 to funding agreement number 213-22 between the Arizona Department of Housing and the Gila County Community Services Department, Housing Services, to provide low-income home energy assistance program funding for $48,570 to be used to provide weatherization services to eligible citizens residing in Gila County from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. This amendment number 1 is for our weatherization program. DES is doing it a little bit differently this year, so we are getting it in bits and pieces. We started out the year with a pretty low amount in this LIHEAP funding, and now they're adding an additional $48,570.
Thanks, Melissa. Supervisor Humphrey.
Great, they're giving you a little more. Even if it's a drop at a time, it ends up in the bucket, so.
Yeah, well, we need to charge more admin, because this give it to us all at once.
But
I understand.
thank you for all you do, Melissa.
Supervisor Christensen.
Yeah, thank you for all that you do, Melissa, and I have no questions.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. I will just take it however they want to give it to us and work with it. So thanks for working with these folks. That I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 1 to funding agreement number 213-22 with the Arizona Department of Housing in the amount of $48,570.
Mr. Chair, I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. On to I, information, discussion, action to approve funding agreement number 127-23 between Gila County and the Arizona Department of Housing to receive Community Development Block Grant funds in the amount of $118,158 for the period of December 1st, 2022 through March 30th, 2024 in order to rehabilitate at least 6 homes. Melissa?
Good morning, Chairman, again, and members of the board. This agreement or funding agreement is our community development block grant funds, and we went to an every other year because they were getting so much smaller. So this is our year, and that's what this contract's about.
Okay. Supervisor Humphrey.
Melissa, I have no questions.
Supervisor Christensen.
No questions.
So are you saying you're gonna at least do 6 houses, Melissa, for this?
Yes, we're breaking it up. It's not a total rehab job, as some of our other dollars are. We kind of add this to our weatherization, for example, if we need roof repair, some major roof repair, something to that effect, some major plumbing, upgrade on an electrical panel, something to that effect, a rewire, then we use these dollars in conjunction. It's a leveraging.
Okay. Thank you, Melissa. That I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve funding agreement number 127-23 with the Arizona Department of Housing in the amount of $118,158.
And I will second that, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. One more, Melissa. J, information, discussion, action to approve service agreement number 082722 with BMS CAT of Arizona to provide general contractor services with a not to exceed the amount of $54,000 through December 31st, 2022. Melissa?
Good morning. This home, this unit that the general contractor was doing, they came across some additional major repairs that we had to do, and so we needed to go above the $50,000 threshold with this.
Okay. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions on the item, just are you having any more luck with local contractors?
I am. We have a potential local contractor that we are very close to getting on board with us, and we're very happy about that.
Good, if there's anything I can do to
And
help, let me know.
thank you very much
You
for
bet.
what you did.
No more questions, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, no questions.
Are they gonna be able to get it done in this, by the end of December?
Yeah, sorry. Yes, they are.
You're good.
That's
You're
okay, you
good.
can show excitement. Thank you.
I'm not feeling well. They are very close to finishing it now.
Okay.
It just, they came across a piece of equipment that,
Yeah. I just seen the date and I'm like, wow, they're down to the wire, so that'd be good. Thank you, Melissa. That I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve service agreement number 082722 with BMS CAT of Arizona with a not to exceed amount of $54,000 through December 31st, 2022.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Melissa.
thank you.
On to K, information, discussion, action to approve the grants in aid agreement between the Tohono O'odham Nation and Gila County to act as the pass-through agency for the grant funds in the amount of $25,195.02 on behalf of the Hells Gate Fire District to purchase 3 new radio intercom systems for emergency response vehicles. And we have Chief Morris. Morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas in the following weeks, and also for all the hard work that you have done. And also one more time for Mary Spring, I'd like to thank her for all the work that she has done for us and for the county. This is what they call the grant and aid between the Tohono O'odham Nation and Gila County. And according to their constitution, they're required to enter into an agreement between a county or a city or town to be able to disperse those funds. Even though the county has already approved the agreement, this is just a final step in order for them to be able to forward the money to the county and then to the fire district.
Okay, thank you, Maury. Supervisor Humphrey, you have any questions for him?
No, I think it's a great deal, and I'm more than happy to help with the funding that you're able to receive.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chief Morris. You have a Merry Christmas yourself. I have no questions.
And neither do I. So yeah, you bet. Have good holidays, and we'll see you soon somewhere. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the grant in aid agreement between the Tohono O'odham Nation and Gila County to act as a pass-through agent for grant funds in the amount of $25,195.02 on behalf of the Hellgate Fire District.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Maury.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
On to L, information, discussion, action to approve economic development grant number 112-12022 to the Bullion Plaza Cultural Center and Museum, Inc. in the amount of $10,000 that the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. Mary?
Good
Is it
morning,
you or
Mr.
Tom?
Chairman, members, supervisors. I'm going to turn the time over to Mr. Foster, and he will walk you through a short presentation.
Thank you, Mary.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Just a short update here for you, and I'll try to figure out that I'm doing the right thing here. There we go. So Just a brief for our mission and vision statement here. You get an idea of what we're about and what we're doing and what we will do in the future. Of course, with COVID, Boyan Plaza was closed for a considerable amount of time. But in that period of time, even being closed, we were working inside. So the majority of the funding that was expended on the past consideration, past grant from County Board, was used for exhibits. So you can get an idea here, the view of some of what we've done and the improvements to those exhibits. They have been expanded, and of course, all the funding from that past grant has been expended. A lot of work was done improving our mineral exhibit. So this is really a good thing here. We did improve this in one aspect by adding a microscope. So children now can come by. They can see what the minerals actually look like in structure. It's projected onto a screen here. So this has been pretty popular. We've also added a lot of interpretation to the grounds. So we have some exhibits on the grounds, both in the back and in the front. So we've included signage with that explains to the public what they're looking at and where it came from. So you can see some of that here with some of the mining equipment on display. A lot of work was done on the second floor. There were some murals and artwork added. That second floor is a pretty amazing improvement from our standpoint. The auditorium is completed, and we have Congressman Pastor's exhibit rooms completed, and one of those now has exhibits and is open to the public. So that's just a quick run through there. We will be returning to programs within the next couple of months, at least in the spring. Of course, everything was canceled because of COVID. But we have a pretty interesting lineup. I got a call today from Tonto National Monument, and they're interested in working with us further in the future. So that was a really nice phone call. Something to add here, because of Discover Gila County, we still have productions that were completed by Cameron running on our YouTube channel. And that channel is becoming more and more popular. We'll be looking to work with Cameron more in the future. One of the videos we just completed with Arizona Commission on the Arts in the last 2 weeks has received over 1,700 views. We're moving on to 1,800 views now, which, you know, for a small museum in a small county in Arizona is pretty amazing. And of course, that goes all over the world. So it does make a difference, and it brings attention to Gila County, Boyan Plaza, and brings people in to actually see what's going on. So from that standpoint, I think probably, so we're looking for the renewed assistance now from the county board to move forward into the next year. We have a lot of things in the offing now. We're working more with outreach. So we're working more with various museums, you know, in the state and of course within the county, especially Pleasant Valley Historical Society. So I think that's probably all. We did offer a new brochure for everyone on the supervisors board here. We have added hours now, so we've added a day and an hour, a few hours to our open schedule. We're actually realizing more and more people now. We had, I think, nearly 20 the other day, which for us is really amazing. So with that, we'd request that renewed assistance from the board. If you have any questions, I'm open for those. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Supervisor Humphrey?
Tom, I have no questions. Just thank you for your dedication to that building. you work there tirelessly and keep it rolling and keep things moving. I've been on a lot of grant platforms that you have reached for, and things that you've done with the funding is just amazing. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. I have a question for James. Is this a new grant or are we just an ongoing?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Christian, this is ongoing. It's been, I don't know how long, well before my time, that the county has supported Bullion Plaza.
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
Mm-hmm.
I am on book number 10. This will be book number 10. And of course, all of everything, all our expenditures are made available if anyone from the supervisors would like to come in and take a look at what we've done in the past and what we're looking at for the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
Tom, through the course of the years, how many people do you, just maybe you can't tell me, but just a ballpark figure, come through your museum in the course of a year? What do you think the number would be?
You know, because of COVID, because of the COVID situation, last year, I think, just off the top of my head, I think we were around 700, 785. On top of that, of course, we did a lot of MSHA and OSHA training. And so some of those, increased that, and those people visit and come back and spend money in the bookshop. So quite a few there. So I would imagine there would at least be another 1,000 added, to that in people that were actually in the museum. This year, by end of year, I think we'll be double that 785 approximately. We're getting more and more people all the time. Instead of one person at a time, now we're getting maybe, 10, 15, 20. And the schools now are starting to talk to us again. So we're getting students back in for tours.
Good,
So-
good deal.
Thank you, Mr.
Well, I
Chairman.
appreciate everything you've done and
Thank you,
everything
sir.
you're involved with. It's a really good thing. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve Economic Development Grant Number 112122022, Bullion Plaza Cultural Center and Museum Incorporated, in the amount of $10,000 that the board has determined to be the benefit to the public.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
On to M, information, discussion, action to approve economic development grant number 11142022 to Miami Genesis Incorporated in the amount of $2,000 that the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. Mary Springer.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. Supervisor Humphrey received a request from Miami Genesis to support the Small Town Christmas event. This is an event that the county has supported in past years, and so they've asked the county's support again. So with that, I'd entertain any questions.
Thank you, Mary. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor
I
Christensen.
have no questions.
I'm good as well. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Economic Development Grant Number 111422022 to Miami Genesis Incorporated in the amount of $2,000 that the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
And I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. On to N, information, discussion, action to approve agreement number 1202222 with Horizon Health and Wellness, whereby the county will disperse $1,000. And further, the board finds and determines that this is for the benefit to provide services to children and adults with serious mental illness in the Globe, Miami, and San Carlos areas. Mary Springer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. Again, this was another request from Horizon Health. This is a organization that the county has supported in the past. It helps with holiday meals and small gifts for the residents. So we're asking you to consider this agreement as well.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Christensen.
No questions, thank you.
I think this is really good. Thank you, Mary. And with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve agreement number 1202222 with Horizon Health and Wellness in the amount of $1,000, that the board finds and determines this is for the benefit to provide services to children and adults with serious mental illness in the Globe, Miami, and San Carlos areas.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. On to O, information, discussion, action to authorize advertisement of request for qualification number 11092022, federal grant consultant firm. Mary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, member supervisors. With the passage of the infrastructure bill, it opened up a lot of funding for federal grants for different pockets of infrastructure, roads, telecommunications, broadband, kind of a big smattering of different things that if the county should decide to go after. But we do not have the capacity internally to evaluate all those offerings that the federal government currently has. Not just the offering part, but also the administration of some of those, because some of those grants are very detailed, depending on who, what the organization that they flow the money through. So we're looking to see if we can find a consultant that will help us pinpoint those grants that are most advantageous to the county, and then provide additional support to go after and then administer the grants. So that's what this consultant, we're looking for this consultant to do.
Thank you, Mary. Supervisor Humphrey?
Yeah, I guess I have a question of where you're gonna reach for a consulting firm for federal grants. I mean, that's not something you're gonna find on Broad Street and Globe, so I mean, is there, like, I don't have any idea, so I'm asking, where would you reach for
Mr.
a
Chairman,
federal grant consultant?
Supervisor Humphrey, we have a few firms that we have engaged that have expertise in federal grants. We're going to solicit to them. We're going to obviously advertise in the local newspaper, but we're going to let our fingers do the walking and seeing who's out there and make sure that we target those firms, hopefully to get some feedback and get some proposals sent to us. You're right, it's a hard market to tap into, but with the amount of money that's out there, we think that there are firms that are looking for work, and we're hoping to find those.
Okay.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Mary. I have no questions.
Mary, when we start looking at all this money that's sitting out there and available for us to pursue, what kind of dollars are we talking?
Chairman Klein, there's billions out there. Roads, bridges, that's a big area with billions of dollars. There's also broadband, billions of dollars. How much those grants are, we don't know. That's the problem with us. We don't know what we don't know. We're looking for somebody that has that knowledge and has maybe the connections that we don't have. So we use different folks at the federal level to help give us some guidance, but they're not necessarily grant writers or have that unique knowledge to go after. So we need help. And the only way you can get that is by going out and asking for it.
Oh, yeah, I totally understand that. But James, from a project standpoint for Gila County, I mean, I could probably think of a handful right off the top of my head, but what do you think we're gonna be looking to get as far as dollars? I mean, we have like the Michelson building, we have roads that need addressed and things like that. So we're talking millions of dollars though, aren't we, at least?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, 6 months ago, whatever it was, we brought a list of, extensive list, 35 million, 45 million, whatever it was, millions of dollars. All of those projects on that list were needs and things that have been identified as a county. We have an opportunity to go after every single one of those through grants and to fund those. So millions of dollars is what we have needs for and what we will be looking for to get funded. And of course, we have to prioritize those. We'll continue to work with the board, work sessions and such to prioritize that list and identifying the things we have. But as we've identified these things, then we need to go and find a organization that is in the deep end with all of these grants and match up what our needs are with where the money is available. And that's where I think this expertise can really come in. As far as are there companies available, I get people reaching out, companies reaching out probably almost daily of, we've got this service and we want to work for you. So there's a lot of companies knowing that there's this money and they're chomping at the bit, ready to work with us. And this will get us an opportunity to find the best one for us.
So, and I'm asking you these questions because people on YouTube and other folks out there may not know what's going on, but these companies from a consulting firm standpoint, grant writers basically, are you looking at mostly someone or a company that would take it as a percentage based for what you receive, what we receive?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, yes, most all of these grants have an administrative cost built into them. And so that would be, the bid will come in, and Mary can fill in the details, but the bid will come in of how much they will do on a percent of whatever the money is. If 1% of whatever the award is or something like that is what we would do. It wouldn't be an upfront necessarily, an upfront cost to the county for getting this service. Mary.
That's what I was looking for you to say.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we're asking for proposals. So all those pieces and parts will be components as far as what gets evaluated and ultimately, hopefully, bringing a contract for the board's approval.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, James. That I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the advertisement for request of qualification number 11092022 Federal Grant Consulting Firm.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. We're putting you to work today, aren't we?
Yeah, you are. It's good. It's all good.
On to P, information, discussion, action to approve agreement number 11042022 with the Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management to occupy office space at the Gila County building located on 610 East Highway 260, Payson, Arizona, for the term of 1 year with 5 additional 1-year renewal periods. Mary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. I'm really pleased to bring this to you. This is our partners at the Department of Forestry and Fire Management, who is doing a lot of projects up by the C.C. Cragen Reservoir, northern Arizona area. And it's all good as far as fire prevention and the good work that they're doing. It's really good that you have decided to be partners with them and provide this workspace. That way they don't have to travel from Phoenix to do checking on the projects and meeting with contractors. So that's what this agreement is to provide office space for those folks so they can meet with the public, meet with their contractors, meet with you all when necessary. It's a good partnership, so we're hoping you approve the agreement.
Thank you, Mary. Supervisor Humphrey?
Yeah, I appreciate all your work in this project, and here we're saving a government building, and then now they're wanting to partner with us, and I just think you put a lot of work into this, and I appreciate it.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Mary, and this would be a great benefit for the Rim Country area up there to have a presence from the state management, and so, yeah, it's a great thing. Thank you.
So, yeah, this is good. Question that I had, I guess, on this, I mean, DIFM has been awesome to work with, and they're a really good partner. Are they going to continue on, or is a lot of this going to be handed off to Department of Ag in the future? Do you know?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know specifically. I know when I talked to Director Tenney, he said they're going to be up there a long time. So to me, that was a commitment by the state that they're going to be part and parcel, and I don't believe that they're just going to hand it off.
Okay.
But James, I don't know, do you know any?
It doesn't matter, I guess, in a sense, because they're doing some really good work, a lot of it. And they're gonna be a major player on a lot of projects, so,
And they're the boots on the grounds.
They are.
That group is the boots on the grounds.
yeah, they are. So, thanks for putting all that together. That I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve agreement number 1104222 with the Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management to occupy office space at the county building located at 610 East Highway 260, Payson, Arizona, as presented.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Is this it?
Signing off.
Thank you, Mary. On to Q. That was Mary's last presentation right there. So. On to Q, information, discussion, action to approve a list prepared by the county manager, clerk of the board of board members, assignments to local, regional, and national boards, committees, and organizations for 2023. James.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, on the staff report, it has a list of organizations that each of you as board members represent Gila County on. It is consistent with what we had for calendar year 2022, with the exception of Gila County Provisional Community College Advisory Board that Supervisor Christensen was appointed to in the last month by the Board of Supervisors. And all these are extremely important, we feel, and there are many others that you do represent Gila County on, but would appreciate your designation of these organizations if you so choose to do.
So basically, the list you put together is where we're at right now with our current assignments.
Yes, sir.
Supervisor Humphrey. Go ahead.
Oh,
You have any questions or comments?
yeah, the only comment I have is, I'm good where I'm at.
Okay. You want to bring up the list? I mean, I don't need to see the list. I'm well aware of, so.
Yeah, I've pretty much read through it.
Okay, you're good. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, James. Yeah, I'm perfectly happy with what I'm working with. One thing that I have a question about, though, and I know Woody has been on and is on the NRCD. It's not listed here. I don't know if that's not need to be listed.
It's not a appointed position by the county. This is the one that you're actually elected onto.
Okay.
From public, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That answers that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I will add also the Workforce Investment and Opportunities Board is another one, very critical, very important. In fact, we're doing interviews for the executive director, preliminary interviews tomorrow as county managers. But that's another one that you, Chairman Klein, are on as a private businessman and not representing the board, but it does good for Gila County to have you sit on that board.
So I'm glad you brought that one up. So I'd like to recognize James Bruzy is now the vice chair on that board. I'm pretty sure you are, buddy.
Yay.
Good deal.
And I believe I will be stepping off in short order, but the chairman will be a gentleman by the name of David Miller from Apache County.
Great.
So, anyway.
So there's a lot, this looks like a kind of a small list, but your job never ends, and it's morning, noon, and night, and burning candles at both ends, and your sacrifice and service to Gila County is very much appreciated. This just recognizes a very small portion of what you do.
So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve board member assignment to local, regional, and national board committees and organizations for 2023 as presented.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, James. On to R, information discussion action to rescind resolution number 18-04-03 adopt resolution number 22-12-01, adopt resolution number 22-12-02, adopt resolution number 22-12-03, grant a quitclaim deed to Rivers Edge Payson LLC, and grant a quitclaim deed to Harry and Sherry Farrelly, all to comply with the settlement agreement that was executed on September 6th, 2022, to settle litigation of Rivers Edge Payson LLC versus Gila County, Maricopa County Superior Court case number CV 2021-016013. Jeff? Good morning. We are still morning. Good morning.
Mr. Chairman and Supervisors, this matter involves a disagreement regarding an easement that started about 5 years ago, regarding a road that runs over Rivers Edge Payson LLC property. They believe that that easement was not valid, and this resulted in ensuing litigation, which has been going on for years. The matter was finally settled in August, and there are certain requirements for each side to execute in order to finalize the settlement. We came before you October 4th, thinking that was going to be resolved, but the attorney for Rivers Edge came here that morning and was concerned about some of the language in the deeds between the county and Rivers Edge. And so since then, we've been trying to get the documents redone and prepared again so this board could, so you could execute the documents that you're required to under the settlement agreement in order to resolve the matter. So I'm here to make a recommendation to you that you do that. Mr. Harper, the attorney for Rivers Edge, has brought the executed deed by Robert K. Mitchell Jr. So that's one of the documents that they're required to execute for this settlement, and I recommend that the board execute the other documents that are laid out in the motion and resolve this finally.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Mr. Harper. Questions? Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions, just appreciation for the communication to get to this point.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Dalton. So this, what we're doing today should be the final step in the solution everyone is seeking.
It should resolve everything.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm really happy. That's good. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, so thank you both. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Thank you,
Could-
Mr. Chairman.
Before you do the motion, it's Farrell, not
Fa-
Farrelly.
Farrell?
Farrell.
Okay,
Yes.
we can correct that.
Says here I must read it exactly with 5 exclamation points.
You better not miss a lick.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move to rescind resolution number 18-04-03 and adopt resolution number 22-12-01 and adopt resolution number 22-12-02, adopt resolution number 22-1203, grant quit claim deed to Rivers Edge Payson LLC, and grant quit claim deed to Harry and Sherry Farrell, all to comply with the settlement agreement that was executed on September 6th of 2022 to settle litigation of Rivers Edge Payson LLC versus Gila County, Maricopa County Superior Court number CV 2021-016013.
Do I have a second?
You have a second.
Having a motion and second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, gentlemen, and everybody that was involved. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, moving on to S, information discussion action to approve economic. Okay, I'll start over again. We're on number S. Information, discussion, action to approve economic development grant number 11162022 to the Copper Corridor Economic Development Grant Coalition in the amount of $7,500 that the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. This is mine. And we have Mayor Mila here with us this morning, actually, still. Welcome, Mila.
Good morning, supervisors. Thank you very much, Supervisor Klein, for the lovely introduction. My name is Mila Besic, and I am the Executive Director of the Copper Corridor Economic Development Coalition. You may have also encountered me in my unpaid role of Mayor of Superior, Arizona. We're here today to give you an update and presentation on the role and the work that the Copper Corridor Economic Development Coalition does and the communities that we serve. In your packet, you'll see that the communities in our region include several Gila County communities. As our organization began in 2004, it was founded by a cohort of leaders across southern Gila and eastern Pinal counties. And Central Arizona College played a huge role in moving this organization forward. So Globe, Hayden, Kearney, Mammoth, Miami, Oracle, Salmon Wells, Superior, and Winkleman. I will share with the redistricting of Pinal County. They have split up the Copper Corridor, and so now Superior and Kearney now are aligned with Apache Junction and Gold Canyon. And our sister communities, Salmon Well, Oracle, and Mammoth are now in a new supervisor's district, which they have some other organizations that we are also co-working with along the way. And I want to congratulate you all today for supporting so many other wonderful organizations across Gila County that we also work with to fulfill our mission. And I did see your county school superintendents has a copy of our map of the Copper Corridor that we've used for many years. Turning the next page over to our Copper Corridor economic development history. As I mentioned how we were founded, one of the projects you may have heard of over the years is the Ore Cart Trail, which was a federal earmark. The photo in your packet of the Winkleman ore cart is actually the only ore cart that was completed with the $200,000 in federal earmarked money because of all the complications. Mammoth, Superior, and Oracle all decided to self-fund their ore carts, and we're still willing to work with communities who wish to self-fund. But the Winkleman ore cart is actually the most special ore cart because it was completed with the actual earmark, and we had to go through every permitting process that you have to do to build a new highway in America, including tribal consultations and all sorts of other, it really pretty much ate up all the money that we received. But tourism has been one of the low-hanging fruits for this particular region, which is a micro-region, obviously, right, of Greater Pinal County and Greater Gila County. In 2012, we conducted a study with the Arizona State University to really study what were the commonalities of tourism in our area. And one of the things that came out was the Arizona Trail connects the communities in southern Gila County together. And you can even get so far as to start talking about Roosevelt and Tonto Basin. But those were some connections and relationships we needed to build upon. We also built the Mobile Visitor Center, which we have since discontinued. And I apologize for being remiss that I did not introduce our secretary, Kathy Melvin, who's here with us on the board. And I believe our vice president, Brian Sepola, may be on YouTube. He was delayed today and was going to join via YouTube. So if you're there, Brian, thank you so much for your leadership. But tourism has always been a big draw for us and something that we've seen as a low-hanging fruit. Our current works, as you turn the page, include a variety of things really based around business, attraction, and retention. We know in economic development that retaining local businesses by far is much more cost-effective than trying to attract new businesses. And one of the projects that we are set to launch, and it'll be in early 2023, I was hoping to give you a sneak peek, but there's still some technical difficulties that I can't quite figure out how to work myself, is the Copper Community Supplier Portal. This supplier portal actually began with some investment from Resolution Copper many years ago to help them make sure that they were doing their local spend correctly and giving local contractors the opportunity to bid on RFPs and RFQs. It would also created a very large database of all the local businesses, from furniture providers, massage therapists, And we weren't really using the tool fully and completely. So we just received a grant from USDA to revamp that. What we'll be adding to the supplier portal this year is an opportunity for very small businesses and micro businesses. Our work in the food systems identified that many of our small artisans, food producers, they don't really have the time nor the desire to develop sales sites, but this gives us the opportunity to do Made in the Copper Corridor and give them an opportunity with generous funding from Gila County, Pinal County, and all of our other partners. This helps us keep this very affordable, almost free, because most of our small businesses, especially in the smaller areas like Hayden and Winkleman, really just don't have additional capital to invest in these types of opportunities. I mentioned tourism promotion. I'll explain a little bit more of some of the work that we do. The Copper Communities Food Hub actually was a joint project between the Southern Gila County EDC and the Copper Corridor Economic Development Coalition, which was to identify food deserts across our region, but we also expanded this Copper Corridor region to include young because of the growing cycles there and the food that can be grown there. And we still have partners within the food partner services. I'll just name Mr. Bruzy. He's very popular tonight, but this afternoon. But he's actually one of our key volunteers who provides a lot of in-kind support to the Food Hub, as well as space for their operations, but transports a lot of fresh food into the region where we have people coming to our weekly market. That is in Superior, but it is trafficked, and we have lots of vendors from throughout Southern Gila County, mostly Southern Gila County, to be honest, and Superior that use that market to sell their wares and goods. Leadership and advocacy has also been a priority for this region because our communities cannot thrive unless we are growing new leaders. Little leagues cannot be served with board members or school boards or county supervisors if we are not growing new leadership. We partnered with Valle del Sol to offer the HLI Copper Corridor Program, leadership program, and our Rural by Choice forums. And I want to thank Supervisor Klein and Kathy Melvin because in our first Rural by Choice forum, we focused on blight and the issues around blight. And with that, we have worked on the EPA Region 9 Brownfields grant. So much of our work usually turns into bigger work that we can work with our partners, whether it be Gila County, Pinal County, or one of our municipalities. The supplier portal will be set to launch here in January. Due to technical difficulties, they're still a week behind, but they're getting there. Our tourism works. We work very closely with Discover Gila County. One of the nuances, our budget is much smaller in our tourism development, but we have worked for a very long time with the Arizona Office of Tourism. I actually am on the Governor's Tourism Advisory Council, and so have the opportunity to work alongside the AOT staff very closely. And we invested in developing a cohesive and unified brand for the region, so that's all of both Southern Gila County and Eastern Pinal, which you'll see in the presentation. We utilize the programs from AOT, so we're getting 2 for 1 on the price of our advertising. Your funding helps us to make sure that Hayden and Winkleman are well represented in that advertising. This year, we were able to advertise in the AAA Via magazine, which is a really big publication. I've seen the success of this in Superior. That magazine has a very large focus of tourists that come to our demographic area. And Discover Gila County bought a full page, and we bought a full page, so we have a double truck spread to promote both our microregion and Discover Gila County. Arizona Drive Guide, that particular magazine goes into every rental car that's rented in the state of Arizona at both airports. We have advertised with them for many years, and as someone who works in a small business in Superior, aka Bruzy Vineyard, we do see customers that come in and hear those tell us that they saw these in Drive Guide magazines. And the RV Guide. And we choose the RV Guide every year because of the wonderful RV parks and amenities that are available both in Globe and Winkleman. Exciting news for this year is that we applied for a Visit Arizona Initiative grant, which is some of the state's COVID relief money. And we received another $25,000 this year to work on a location-based passport app. So people will come in to visit Discover Copper Corridor. You're looking for things to do. We're going to focus on arts, adventure, and the delicious food that we have, food and drinks that we have in our region. So people come in, they can redeem, whether it's a free wine tasting or a free cheese crisp, come in and visit one of our murals. It will also help us to track the visitors that are coming to our area. The Arizona Office of Tourism actually uses this app quite frequently. It's called Bandwango, and they use it to promote the wine industry. So I have some involvement with understanding how that works, and I have been able to see some progress with that. So we're very excited about this because this will be a new tool for our region. And again, this all kind of works in alignment with our supplier portal, which is a very large database. The Food Hub, Farm to Fantastic Market, pretty much every week throughout the winter, we have a Farm to Fantastic Market. In your presentation, you have a picture of Mary Highsong. She's from Miami, and she is tried and true. She has been a vendor with us from day one, bringing fresh eggs, soaps, and whatever else she is growing into the marketplace. We have a potential funder who's looking to come on board with us this year that will allow us to waive the fees for our vendors this year, and we're really excited about that if we can put that all together, because we want these small food producers and small artisans to be able to kind of leverage their businesses in the next couple of years. We actually shut down our market in the summertime to not compete with the Globe Miami market, and the two markets have found ways to work together to collaborate and bring together goods back and forth. So our work at the Copper Corridor is truly much more on the collaborative side. How can we work with the agencies that are around us? How can we best leverage? We have a very small budget. In total, we probably work off about $50,000 a year, and that includes stipends to our contractors and running our projects. Leadership and advocacy, I did mention that, and I want to recognize that Mr. Menlove and Sherry Grice are both graduates of the HLI program with the Copper Corridor. And with that program, we're looking to figure out how do we get more of our leaders from our region to start taking advantage of other leadership programs, whether it's Project Central, Flynn Brown, because stronger leaders means that we have a stronger region together. And our partners and collaborators, this is just to name a few, not all of them are financial providers, but Globe Miami Chamber of Commerce, Bullion Plaza, Discover Gila County, Copper Basin Chamber of Commerce, the Superior Chamber of Commerce, Superior Enterprise Center, Gila County, Pinal County, Resolution Copper, Bruzy Vineyard, BHP, Copper Area News, and Dog Cat Mouse Media. So those are some of the partners that really help us make sure that all of our programs move smoothly. Each year, our board of directors include Tino Flores from Kearney, Vice President Brian Seppala from Resolution Copper. Our treasurer is Maria Munoz from Hayden. Our secretary is Kathy Melvin, and board members are Matthew Storms and Melissa Robigo. And our contracted project team includes myself, James Schenk, who is working on our website management. He also helps with housing, and I didn't mention this program because it's very complex, and it's the USDA 504 housing program. And when we can leverage those dollars, it's very helpful. We've helped probably about 50 people throughout the region put new roofs on their homes, but the funding is very hard to get, and it's not always easily available. So it is something that we do make ourselves available when there are pots available to put that together. And Deb Sears is our farmers market manager. She helps keep all of that running. And with that, I will open to any questions, but thank you all for your ongoing support.
Mayor, thank you.
You're welcome.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, good morning, Mila. I have no questions. A great presentation, and thanks for all the information and all you do.
Thank you.
Supervisor Christensen.
Yeah, I say the same thing. Thank you for the presentation, and you're probably the best example of how to use that microphone, how to get close to it.
I was probably born with the knack for it.
Yeah.
Lots of practice, huh?
Yeah.
Lots of practice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, thank you for everything you do and everything that you're involved with, because the Copper Corridor has been a real strong advocate for everything in that corner and a big help to everyone. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And on behalf of our board, we appreciate your support as well. Thank you.
No problem. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Economic Development Grant Number 111-62022 to the Copper Corridor Economic Development Coalition in the amount of $7,500 that the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
On to T, information, discussion, action to approve the Economic Development Grant Number 111-52022 to the Pleasant Valley Historical Society in the amount of $5,000 that the board has determined to be a benefit for the public, and this is mine as well. The Historical Society in Pleasant Valley has been on a mission and improving their museum for the last 5 years, I would say. So they're doing an awesome job. It's increasing more and more on the amount of visitors that they are getting through there. As we go along, and Bullion Plaza has helped a lot with that too, I know, and Discover Gila County. And so we're seeing a lot of folks coming through there. It's a huge attraction for Pleasant Valley. So with that, I'd entertain any questions. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Christensen?
No questions, thank you.
With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve Economic Development Grant Number 111-52022 to the Pleasant Valley Historical Society in the amount of $5,000 that the board has determined to be for the public, for the benefit of the public, sorry.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. On to you, information, discussion, action to approve the board's participation in the Shop with a Hero 2022 program in the amount of $6,000 that the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. This is mine as well. And this is something that the Sheriff's Department has been the big driver of. And so they have a pool of kids that they take with them. They match them up with deputies and other officers, and they do Christmas shopping and things like that with these kids. I believe last year was our first time we helped them out with this. I'd never heard of it before, but a huge success. They have a lot of kids involved in this program, and other contributors as well to it, and so that's what it's all about. Supervisor Humphrey, you have any questions?
Mr. Chair, I have no questions.
Supervisor Christensen?
Just to clarify, I think that all three of us are donating to this cause,
We
correct?
are.
Yeah, that's all I have, thanks.
And it's a very good cause.
Yes.
So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the board participation in the Shop with a Hero 2022 program in the amount of $6,000 that the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
And I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. On to number 5, consent agenda action items. Is there anything either one of you would like to address separately in this or take out?
I'm good, Mr. Chair.
I'm fine.
I think I'm good as well. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve consent agenda items 5A through 5M.
I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Call to the public. Do we have any call to the public in Payson, Lisa?
No, sir.
Do we have on YouTube? Anybody? And I don't believe we have anyone here as well. So moving on to number 7, updates. James, do you have any updates for us?
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to acknowledge that we had a reception or activity for 2 individuals from the management team, admin team that are retiring. Last Tuesday, had a reception for Jackie Sanders, who is retiring. Her last day, formal last day, is the end of this week. And Mary Springer, that was acknowledged that her last day is the end of, her last formal day is the end of next week. I believe they've got family activities and things that may preclude them from working all the way through to Friday in each of their respective weeks. But I want to acknowledge both of them and their contributions to Gila County. They have been significant. They have committed untold hours and devoted themselves to the betterment and the good of Gila County and the people who live here and the residents of Gila County. I am very grateful, very thankful for them and all that they've done. They've made my job a pleasure in being able to work not only with the Board of Supervisors, but these individuals that sacrifice so much and are really such good people. And so I am thankful and grateful for them. Want to express to everyone that's here, and we've got a full house today, that's a good deal, the best of the holidays to you, your families, and to all, that we can celebrate the goodness that's around us together and find joy and happiness in this holiday season in whatever capacity that means to each of us. That be it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, James. Supervisor Humphrey.
I'll hold a Tonto Basin meeting this evening. We'll attend a Salute the Ranching Dinner on the 10th. We'll hold a Roosevelt Community Meeting on the 12th at 1. And I'm not gonna do a radio this month. I'll do that next month. And I would just like to wish everybody a safe and happy holidays, and may their travels and their family travels be safe and happy for them, and we'll get back on it next year.
Thank you, Tim. Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Chairman. The last Saturday, attended a Veterans Day at the Sawmill Theaters. They played the movie Midway. The intention there was to allow anyone and everyone to come to the Sawmill Theaters without charge to watch a patriotic movie, have the honor guard there, and just understand the great things that our veterans over the many decades have done for the United States and our area. We have over 7,000 veterans just in the northern part of Gila County. So we appreciate them very much. On that same evening, we had a very wet electric light parade, which is about the 22nd one. And so I could not believe the amount of people that were attending. They came out and they had their tents, their pop-ups, their bonfires, their everything. It was great, and so worked out well. We appreciate the rain as well. And also yesterday had a meeting for the PSPRS, very routine, that went well. Also yesterday I met with a kind of an ad hoc group that's very concerned about the election process and what we can do about certain things, and whether or not the Board of Supervisors has any say-so on this, that, or the other. And so a few questions I have for Eric. I'm going to meet with him today just to kind of clarify some of the things. So they're concerned about results, and I told them I hope someday that Americans can feel confident in their elections again, because right now many do not feel that the elections are, they have no confidence in the election, and that's really a sad thing. I'm very proud of the way Gila County conducted this last election, though, and I believe we did an excellent job. And so I commend all those once again for that. And also wish Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you, Steve. Ranchers Night is on the 10th. Is that Saturday night?
I believe so, Mr.
We
Chair.
need to have that posted, because I'm going to be there. It is? Good. So, thank God we remembered it soon. What I want to bring up today for starters is there's a new lawsuit that's fixing to take place with the Center of Biological Diversity, the Maricopa Audubon Society, and it's all based on livestock and streams on the Tonto. And so I don't know where this is going to lead, but there is a lot of permittees involved in Gila County. So I haven't had any updates from the Tonto yet to see what their plan is going to be going forward, or how they're going to address this. So it's going to be pretty interesting. And it was released on November 9th. And that was their notice of intent to sue. And so as this goes along, I'll keep everybody up on it. It's coming. I got the paperwork through the Coalition of Counties, but I'd already heard about it from other permittees. So we'll see where that leads. Other than that, elections are a big topic of discussion. I ended up having a phone call from a senator not long ago, state senator, and it seems like there's a lot of interest in not necessarily how we did in our election, but what we would support in other parts, so. But there is a lot going back and forth in the state on elections, and I agree with you. It's kind of crazy. Gila County did well in our elections. Eric did an awesome job on it. We certified our elections. I'm proud that we certified it, and we need to move forward. So with that, that's all I had. James, did that jog anything for you? Do either one of you have anything else to add to this? We're good? So with that, let's take about a 10-minute break, and then we're going to jump right back into a work session with Carl Melford and Justin there to talk about the water bladders around the county. So we'll come back to and we're gonna go ahead and jump into the work session. And let me get my glasses on before I read the wrong thing. So, work session under 8A. Information discussion seeking guidance to best allocate the funds from the congressionally directed earmark award of $609,000 to be used for maintaining water storage systems for wildfire protection in Gila County, with the understanding that this funding comes with a 1-to-1 match of $609,000. For Gila County, that can be in cash, in-kind activities, or a combination of both for the period of March 2022 through September 2025. Carl, are you doing this one? All right.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. Apologize first off for my voice or lack thereof. Just overcame a sinus infection, but negative COVID tests, and I'm back in the saddle here. So the water bladders in northern Gila County have been a hot topic for quite a long time. As many of you know, I believe it was about 15 years ago, this was one of the late great Tommy Martin's projects, getting those water bladders put up there. However, they are not surviving the test of time well, unfortunately. So when this project was put on my plate, one of the first things that Justin and I did was go out and visit each site individually to kind of see, what the severity of each one of those was. We have a pretty good summary here to show you what we're looking at. So there are 14 sites in northern Gila County that have these water bladders on them. They're strategically placed within the forest for that initial attack. Also, I should point out I have a couple representatives in Payson, Chief Lockhart from Christopher Coles, and John Ziegler from the Forest Service are here to answer any questions that are beyond my own expertise. So these sites are strategically placed for that initial attack. Each site has water bladders varying from 10,000, 20,000, even 50,000 gallon bladders. The bladders are, a soft plastic. They're military surplus, so even when we got them, they were used. The sun is not their friend. Vandalism has been a constant issue with these bladders. A small child with a pocket knife could end one of those pretty quickly. They are repairable, but over time, those repairs do present weak points in the bladders. And the last thing that we want to do is be in need of them and go out and they're not in service. Wildlife has also been an issue. For example, the bladder in Rye is completely flat. And we went out to look at that one. There were elk tracks on there, so it was pretty easy to diagnose its cause of death, unfortunately. So jumping right in, this first site is Bonita Creek. You can see the notes on there. It's a 50,000 gallon bladder site. I noted on this one that it does have low flow. I should wear my glasses, I'm sorry. Jump on to the next one. This is La Cienega. Unfortunately, we weren't able to make it on this one, out to this one on the tour. There was an issue with the gate combination, so I don't have much detail on it other than this one was noted to have a flow issue as well. The Rye tank, this one is completely devastated. Looking at it, it's more than likely not repairable. Round Valley, 10,000 gallon bladder. This one had 4 to 5 repairs on it. And when I'm saying repairs, these are patches or reinforced seams or something that was damaged and that was repaired. The ADOT yard site. This one has 7 repairs on it. It was in pretty rough shape and seemed like it was having issues holding water. Indian Gardens, 10,000 gallon bladder. This one had 7 repairs as well. And as you can see from the picture, it is definitely struggling to hold water. Colcord Road. This one had quite a few repairs on it as well. It's a 20,000, I believe. It had quite a few repairs, also having issues holding water. The Zane Dip site. This one has a 20,000 gallon bladder. Several repairs on that one as well. Kegel's cabin. I believe that's a 10,000 or 20,000. Significant damage to it as well. It didn't have any actual repairs like patches or anything like that, but the seams were reinforced, which leads me to believe that it had leaks at some point. Red Lake, 20,000 gallon bladder. And I should also note that each one of these has an individual dip tank so that water can be pumped from it into that dip tank. This one had 4 to 5 individual repairs on it. Hagler dip, 10,000 gallon site. As you can see from the image of that one, and you can kind of gauge from the size of the tank looking at it, when they're full, they're usually pretty plumped up and stood up. A lot of these are losing capacity and kind of shrinking down and slumping over, which you can see in this image here. Freedom Acres, 20,000 gallon bladder. This one had patchwork done along the entire bladder. It looked like the seam had failed either completely or just in each individual spot at one time. So it's got significant repairs to it, including the cross seams on the top. You can see that those have been repaired as well. Old transfer station, 20,000 gallon bladder. This one appeared to be holding water pretty well, although it did have 9 individual repairs on it, showing that it did sustain damage at some point. Beaver Valley, it's a 50,000 gallon bladder. I was making sure I was reading that right. That had 25 individual patches or repairs on it. So the recommendation that I'm going to make as far as moving forward and making the best out of this money that's available, while also being cognizant that just because an amount isn't available, we don't need to go after every bit of that and, you know, waste money on something that we could find adequate that's cheaper. These Norwesco 10,000 gallon tanks, they come with a 10-year warranty, which is huge for us. They provide a great water capacity. It provides the same service as these water bladders. However, I believe that these will far outlast the existing water bladders that are there. A kid with a pocket knife could not destroy this. It would take a lot more effort to damage this. They're also a lot easier to repair than the bladders themselves. I have a couple cost estimates and a couple ideas here. We need to do a little more research before moving forward, but there's a couple options available. There's these 10,000 gallon bladders. The downside to them is they're a little more pricey, and they also require wide load transportation, which makes them a little bit more of a hassle to actually get up into these sites. They run for 28 of them, which would put 2 at each site. I'm aiming to have at least 20,000 gallons of capacity at each site. Would run us around $352,000. That is not including the plumbing costs and the actual installation themselves. But also there are the 5,000 gallon tanks, which run about $260,000 to $280,000, depending on the brand. These would be a lot cheaper to install. The plumbing cost would be a little bit higher, but I think that with the fact that, you know, the larger tanks are about 11 feet wide, requiring that wide load, and if you guys have been out to a lot of those sites, that may be difficult to get them out there. I believe that the 5,000 gallon tanks may be the better option, but I think that having these tanks out there and running in tandem with these bladders until they inevitably fail would give us the capacity that we need for our Forest Service guys to be continuously on top of the fires the way that they have been, having that water available in the forest, but also having a reliable water source that's not as easy to fail, I think is of critical importance for the safety of the residents that live out there. And with the way that fires have been traveling the past 10 or so years, the safety of the citizens everywhere that border forest. So I'm going to continue to work on this project and try to find the most feasible outcome. The only speed bump that I've hit so far was initially I'd planned on having a local plumbing company come out and plumb these for us and make sure that it has the right fittings. However, doing that would void the warranty. So we are gonna have to negotiate with the company and have them do the plumbing for us. I'm gonna meet with John Ziegler and Norwesco and talk about what fittings that they could put on there that make them applicable for our guys. And with that, unless, Bob or John, unless you guys have anything to add, I'm open for questions, but this is where we're at with this project.
So, John, looking at all these sites, are you needing every one of these sites where they're at, or is there some sites that we don't need, or can be moved around? What do you think?
So with these sites that we have previously where the bladders are, they've already been approved for those bladders. So we'd want to do the same thing where the bladders are at, is put these tanks. That's going to give us the best probability of success with these new tanks to help those subdivisions and the communities out where they're at. So I wouldn't add any more, just the ones that we have. It's just the bladders are, like you showed, a rye. You know, it's failing. You know, if something happened in rye and we wanted to go to that water source to help us out, we couldn't. So that's what we're looking at, is those sites that are previously containing those bladders that we have.
Supervisor Humphrey, questions or comments?
No, I guess I'm good. I would still like to be able to work with the Cattle Association or the Forest Service on being able to put some drinkers there, because as you say, elk tracks, you know why that demised that one. Well, if they can smell water and can't get to it, believe me, they're gonna do what they can to get it. And so here we're, you know, that's kind of like dangling the carrot in front that they'll never catch. So I would just like to see us get more use out of this water and the money spent for the water for the betterment of wildlife or cattle, not just for fires.
Absolutely,
Thank
and
you.
that is something that I do want to continue to work on. I know that the concern right now is that these bladders, it's not just pure water. There's chlorine, often bleach in them, that I talked with the Game and Fish Department, and they were concerned about animals having access to that. But I would like to explore some options, as you were saying, Supervisor.
Yeah, good. I mean, for fire suppression, do you need chlorine and stuff in them for fire percent?
No, not necessarily for that, but for the long-term storage of water to keep algae from building up and clogging their pumps. That's where the chemicals come in.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Chairman. And thanks. So I don't think you need to convince me that we need to do something. It's what we do. So these tanks, they're great, 10,000, that's great. I did the math, it looks like they're about 12,500 each. That just seems higher than I would have expected. However, that seems to be the price.
A lot of that cost comes from the freight. They were being delivered from Texas to the Star Valley Yard is where we'd have them dropped off. So the freight cost is on top of that as well.
It includes freight costs, so I see what
Yes,
you're
this
saying.
includes,
So
the
yeah.
numbers that I gave include freight cost.
Now, weren't we also, besides the storage, going to have an open dip tank concept there that might be metal?
So each site already has an open dip tank, and they're all in remarkable shape. Those
Okay.
things have survived well.
So we don't have to buy those?
We don't have to buy those, no.
Okay.
The ones that are currently there, and that's a cost savings as well. I anticipate even after getting quotes from contractors as far as installation and everything, I really feel like we're gonna fall under budget on this. I don't think that we're gonna expend the entire amount.
Okay, well, don't promise that too quick, but because I don't, basically what we're doing is we're getting dollars for 50 cents. So
Yes.
one thing on the map that I noticed was kind of interesting is that there's nothing in Young and there's nothing in Gila.
So there is there's a site north of Young and south of Young, nothing directly centered within town there. And no, there's nothing in Gila. These are just the sites that the county already owns, and it was before my time, so I don't know why they were chosen where they were.
Well, we can always add to the system as we go, and I guess my point would be that if we ended up with some money left over, we might consider adding a site or something, just as an idea.
Absolutely.
Like I said, we're buying dollars for 50 cents, so.
Correct.
And Supervisor, when Carl brought this to me, that was part of the reason he liked the idea of the 5,000-gallon tanks, is because once this is all done, if we ever choose to move any of them, they're a much more manageable size for us to work with in the future. If we decide to, move them at a site, put more at one site, that's a much more manageable size.
Yes, but the cost is gonna be more per gallon to buy the 5,000s, right? So that is a convenience factor. So I guess we just gotta weigh convenience, mobility, the money that we have available. So yeah, I'm excited because I think that if we do this right, this will be a model for Arizona and the nation on how we can do quick response helicopter stuff. I think we should be looking at making this top-notch, something others would wish to copy.
Absolutely, I
Yeah.
agree, and that's my intent.
I have every confidence you can do that, so.
Thank you. Thank you.
And any way you can include me in any of your meetings and all that, that'd be great too.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks.
So what Tommy started a long time ago has been a good thing. I'll be totally honest with you. I was a little skeptical of it when she started because I worked for the government in the fire side of it. And so my skepticism came from the fact I could pick up a phone and have that set up there in about 3 or 4 hours, feel done. And so, but having those tanks set there ready to go is more of a pre-suppression tactic so that under initial attack, they have that ability to tap into that right now. And so it worked out good. I don't disagree with what Tim's thought about having it available for other uses as well. The one thing that makes it kind of tough is if there's two things. One is if you're using it for livestock or wildlife, you almost have to get some buy-in from either the permittees or Game and Fish to help keep the water in them, to help support them. Because that's one thing that our crews do every year. We spend a lot of time hauling water to these bladders and filling them up. A lot of miles are put on our equipment and everything, and then to see them go flat in a matter of a week or whatever is just a total waste of time. So I'm glad we're looking at replacing them and fixing them. And I do think that you're gonna find that 5,000-gallon tank versus 10 is gonna be much more easier to handle, especially in these places. So one of the things, John, I got another question for you. On the government side, we've been mainly the ones that's been supporting this. Do you guys have the ability to chime in there and help us support these once they're all in place and keep them full and everything else?
So right now, I think it's a combined effort of us replacing them. Usually if we do use them on an assignment or on a fire that we've had, usually that fire ends up filling them back up before they leave. So in that sense, if they are being used, that fire or us or however it may be, that's what we're using to fill these back up. The sites that we have, that's what we've been doing, and it's worked out so far. So I don't see any problem with refurbishing or refilling up these sites that we're using.
Okay. So what's your time frame on something like this, Carl, to get this going? What are we looking at? Could we have it up and going by spring?
If all goes well and no hiccups happen between now and then, I think we can have this done well before spring. I'm told that they keep a pretty healthy stock of these ready to go. So supply is not going to be too much of an issue. And then also to chime in on your previous point, these don't leak water consistently the way that the bladders do. So I think that moving towards something like this is going to also alleviate some of that constant need to refill and to keep these things topped off just due to leaks. I mean, on a lot of these sites, I don't know if you could tell from the pictures, but the ground was just saturated underneath them with just a constant just leak of water. And that is why there's such a high demand to keep these things filled up. With these, we won't have that ongoing issue.
Right. Yeah, the only thing that I see with them is with that plastic, yeah, you can't cut them with a knife, but you can shoot them with a gun. Tim?
Yeah, just one other question too, and I understand that we drained and filled the bladders every year because of freeze, and I'm wondering, what is the freeze protection on these? I mean, is the water gonna freeze and expand and crack these? Do we know what kind of frost or temperatures they will withstand?
So I can get more detail on that, but from what I was told by the salesman, they have, I think it's a 1.5 or a 2% expansion resistance. So when the water, when the water does freeze, they're able to expand and contract to a certain degree to accommodate for that. But I will get some more detail on that because that is a concern for
It
sure.
might make a deal on purchasing too, because if we, there again, if we're not gonna be storing water long-term, if we gotta drain them and fill them every year as well because of freezing.
Yeah, I agree. And
Okay.
I'll look more into that. And then that is another reason that I really want to push for, getting them to plumb them so that we have the warranty. Because if we do have an issue, they come out and fix it, which is huge for us.
And maybe for the fluctuation on how much we fill them, for winter, that they do have room to expand and not full. Just a question, thank you.
Thank you.
Steve, you have any other questions?
No, I think I'm good. Thanks.
John, you guys up there, you have anything else you want to add to this?
So yeah, just another thing just to talk about what Christensen's talking about of having tanks in Gila or Young. A lot of that is we put it where we don't have water sources, and that's something just that we think about for the Forest Service is in Young, we did have a fire station there, and we still have a fire station there where we can get water. And in Gila, there's a river right there where we've draft. And so these places, I'm not saying that you guys mentioned that you can add more, and that's perfectly fine because the more water resources we have out there, the better. But we put them in places where water is minimal, and it's going to help us to be quick with the urban interface that's around the area. So those are strategically placed where they were, and I can also talk with Carl too of if the Forest Service would like to see somewhere or another place where we'd like to see another bladder and get that to him if needed. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that subject a little bit more, and that's all I have.
John, if we had bladders somewhere out and about, can you guys do it with just a decision memo, or you gotta run it through a NEPA process?
Yeah, I'd have to talk with Matt Pachorik. I think it would be the NEPA process right off the top of my head, but that's something I'd have to check on.
Okay, thanks, John.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
If I might, a quick question. Help me put into perspective how much 10,000 gallons, or you mentioned 20,000 gallons, what your goal would be to have at each location. What does that do? What does that buy? Or, how much impact does 20,000 gallons have on, say, a house fire or something that you can quantify?
John, I think you might be able to answer that one a little bit better than I can.
And that's a thing that's a concern for us too, is we're not structure firefighters, and they can go through quite a bit of gallons of water per one structure. To put it into Forest Service perspective, is each of our little light engines is 300 gallons. So we can fill up that light engine, 3 times for 1,000 gallons is, you know, that's for our lights. For our heavies, we're looking at 500 to 800 gallons. So we can fill those engines up 10 times, you know, for that 10,000 tank. If a structure's involved, Chris is here for that, but they can go through thousands and thousands of gallons real quick. But for the forest and hose lays and stuff like that, this is a big help for us. So we can talk two different things. For wildland fire, 20,000 can go a long ways. For a structure fire, it doesn't do anything.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think that these are for structure fires necessarily. I just, some perspective.
Yeah, and to add to that as well, Mr. Menlove, I think that the reason we settled around 20,000 was because that buys enough time on initial attack to bring in more water. So, I mean, we're not trying to put out an entire forest fire with water that's out there, but we've learned over the past few fires that, you know, even though it may take only a few hours to get more water out there, that time is critical. So this is to offset that time between, you know, initial attack and backup supply of water arriving.
You guys have any other questions or comments? So we know about the one-to-one match. You know, we talked about that earlier, I believe, when that grant came out and everything. And what you're looking at, you're thinking spending about half of that $609,000 is what's coming out to be in?
Probably a little over half once we, you know, get quotes from the contractors as far as actually taking them out and installing them. And I think that's where leaning towards the 5,000 gallon, that's gonna be a much lower cost, not having to do the wide load transport and everything. So I'm anticipating probably somewhere in the neighborhood of just over half of that total allotted amount.
So you just set 4 tanks up side by side and plumb them together?
Correct.
And so you're talking to Nesco about doing the plumbing on these tanks? Do you mean for a valve system on the bottom of them, or?
Yes, so,
Okay.
as of, with the way they come stock is it's just a 2-inch valve on there. We're looking at more than likely going with something like 4-inch or something like that, but we have to have the company themselves do it so we don't void that warranty.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Are we good on money, James? Yeah. Cool. Well, if there's no other questions, if there's nothing else you guys want to add to this, I'm looking forward to the project.
I agree, I'm looking forward to it as well.
So do you got your questions answered and where we're at on this?
Yes, I do, I've got everything I need to move forward.
Okay, cool. Thanks for doing all the work and going around checking all those.
That was beautiful scenery, I didn't
Yeah, it
mind at all.
Yeah, it was. Oh, on that, on the match part of it, when it comes to that, so all your hours that you're putting into this project basically can be tracked and
So I'm paid under a federal grant,
So we
so
can't
my
do that
hours
for you.
don't count, unfortunately.
What do we have, like 20 people here an hour? $100 an hour? You know, we got 20,000 covered right now.
some creative thinking. So, okay, well, whatever we can claim towards it will be a good deal.
A quick question. So after today, work session, this will come before us for a vote to approve?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Once I have final numbers from contract, I'd like to give it to you guys all at once as a finished product. This was just to kind of check in and show where we're at and also make sure that I'm going the right direction before I go full bore.
I think we are. You guys good?
Yeah, I'm good. Other than just one more thing, Mr. Chair. I think at one time there was a bladder at Gila. I'm not sure.
There
I
may
think it
be.
was
I know
up
there was
by-
one
up by
in
the
Young,
fire
but-
station. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but I think there was one at
So-
one time.
There are other bladder sites. These are just the ones that the county owns. There's others that individual fire districts own. There's also, I imagine the Forest Service may have something out there, but these are just the sites that the county has
That the
ownership
county
of.
owned, okay, yeah, that clarifies a lot, because like I said, I think there was one there, but if that was up to that forest or that firefighting district, then it has nothing to do with us. So thank you for clarifying that.
No problem.
All right. James?
Mr. Chairman, one comment that if there are additional sites out there that maybe the county doesn't necessarily own, but if there is additional money, then perhaps we need to consider looking at all of the bladders or whatever resources there are for fire that we need to look expansively at everything to the extent there's dollars available.
And one more thing on that, if we plan to fully leverage those funds, it is within the realm of possibility to buy extra of those tanks and have them stationed, say at the Star Valley Yard, to be placed at a later date. That's within the realm of possibility if that's the direction that the board would like to go.
Well, I'll bet you we can discuss that when you get the final figures to us and we look and see what it's gonna cost and go from there and see. I like the idea of these tanks being warranted.
Yes.
I'm sure they're not guaranteed against vandalism though, are they?
More than likely not, but wildlife, sunlight, I mean, anything plastic around here, the sun is an issue. I mean, they're UV protected, so that shouldn't be an issue. But having that little bit of a backup plan really helps.
And I think that's one thing that we could probably all work on too. And even you, John, up there with your prevention guy, is do the outreach to the public and explain the importance of these tanks and how much effort and how much cost is going in to put these tanks for their benefit and their protection. Maybe we can get some help in making sure they don't get vandalized and tore up. So,
Absolutely. And we do have signage out there that, you know, Gila County owns this property, no trespassing and whatnot. So, I mean, there's some measures in place, but anything that we can do to protect these vital assets, I'm 100% in favor of.
sure, yeah. So, okay, anything else? Are we good? Looks like we're good in Payson. It is 10-1. That's not too bad. That's a good day. So with that, I'll close the meeting. Thanks, everyone. Have good holidays.